Hey.
When we are stressed, in a hurry, or feel frustrated, often the emotions that we feel on the inside show up on the outside. Our body language, facial expressions, and even our tone of voice can reflect what we really feel. This is called nonverbal communication. For people who are living with dementia, it's sometimes difficult to understand the meaning of some words, so they rely on this nonverbal communication. Diseases that cause dementia may damage areas of the brain that control higher order functioning like language and the ability to rationalize. But the part of the brain that's in charge of our survival instincts and our fight, flight, freeze response, the amygdala, is always functioning and will let the person know if they're under threat. So if our care approach does not make the person feel safe, their behaviour could be to resist or avoid the threat. This is a normal, healthy response to threat. Everyone will respond differently, just like everyone with dementia is different. So the best way we can work around this is to be aware of our body language and our approach. A small but very important thing you can do every day is to try and leave your worries at the door before you start work and make a conscious choice to choose your attitude. This small action will go a long way in helping you to be present and aware of how you approach the people you support. It will also give you a better chance of making your interactions positive. It's important to remember that first impressions matter, and that when you're supporting a person who is living with dementia, that you need to treat every time as if it's the first time the person is meeting you. When you think about your body language, remember your facial expression. Have a friendly smile and make eye contact. Your hand gestures. When approaching a person with dementia, bring your hand near your face and wave and bring attention to your smile. Placing your hand on your chest when introducing who you are helps give the person clues as to what you are saying. Your body posture. Make sure it's open and relaxed at all times. Always use respectful language. Use titles such as Mr., Mrs. or Miss, and ask questions such as, "Is it okay if I?" Or "Would you mind if I?" Hold your arms out to the side and wriggle your fingers while looking straight ahead. Often younger people can see their fingers wriggling without moving their eyes. This is your peripheral vision. As we age, this space gets narrower and narrower. Our peripheral field of vision decreases, and this is also very common for people living with dementia due to changes in the brain. For some people with dementia, the ability to see and process information from a peripheral view may be difficult. If you do this, and you think about what you can see, it's just right in front of you, right? This is why it's important that when you are approaching a person living with dementia with everything you do, from offering them a drink to making sure they can see their meal on the table, you need to ensure you bring it into their focus. Personal space is very important. We all have our own levels of comfort when it comes to personal space. Think about how you unconsciously step back when you feel someone is too close to you. It's like our threat alarm is screeching in our head and it's harder to pay attention to what's going on. A helpful way to gauge a comfortable and safe distance that respects someone else's personal space is to think of your space bubble. You can do this by holding your arms out beside you, then bring them forward in front of you, and then above you. This is your personal space. Now double that space to include the other person's personal space, and this will be your safe distance. It is always important to consider the power imbalance in the relationship between you and the person you are supporting. That person is relying on you to ensure they have their needs met. This places you in the power position and the other person in a vulnerable position. It is a good thing to remember to always be at the same eye level or lower than the person you are supporting. This can be done by getting lower on your knee when you're interacting with a person, or pulling up a chair and sitting beside them. This way, the person you are supporting knows you are there, can see you in their field of vision, and the two of you can maintain eye contact. When we put all these things together, we set ourselves up to have positive interactions with the people we support. By leaving our worries at the door, we set our mindset for a positive workday. Every time we approach a person, we can make a connection. Be aware of facial expressions and body language. When approaching a person with dementia, bring your hand to your face and wave, and bring attention to your smile. Bring things into focus for the person by making sure you and whatever you are offering is in their line of sight. Keep a safe distance by being aware of and respecting the person's personal space while you are engaging with them. Be aware of the power imbalance and bring yourself to the same level as the person by kneeling or sitting beside them, so you're not making them look up at you. Wait until you see the cues that show the person gives you permission to respectfully touch them. This could be through you offering a handshake and it being accepted by them, or holding your hand out for them to grab before you touch them. Through all this, remember that staying mindful of your own body language and how you approach the people you support will give you more opportunities for positive interactions.
Hello, my name is Dina. I'm going to be asking you some questions about your memory and thinking. We also have an interpreter with us. They will be translating what I say into your language and what you say into English. They will introduce themselves now.
It is nice to meet you both.
When we are speaking, I will be asking the questions. They will interpret what I say into your language. So when you're speaking, please just talk as if you're talking directly to me. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I understand.
Great. Before we proceed, I'd also like you to know that everything we say between us is confidential.
Yes, okay.
Great. Now I'll start the questions if that's okay.
Sure, okay.
I want you to imagine that we're going shopping. There's a list of things of what we're going to buy. I need you to remember the items that we will get from the shop. When we get to the shop in about 5 minutes' time, I will ask you what it is that we have to buy. You'll need to remember the list for me. Okay, I'll read out the list and you repeat after me. Tea,
Τι?
cooking oil,
Cooking oil?
eggs,
Eggs?
soap.
Soap?
Great. Could you please repeat the list again?
Tea, oil, eggs, soap.
And repeat it for me again.
Tea, oil, eggs, soap.
And could you repeat it just one last time for me?
Tea, oil, eggs, soap.
Thank you. I'll ask you again what's on the list in a few minutes.
Okay, I remember.
Okay, good. Next, I'm going to ask you to show me different parts of your body.
All right, let's go.
Can you show me your right foot?
Here you go.
Good. Now, with your right hand, touch your left shoulder.
Δεν καταλαβαίνω τι λέει.
I said touch your left shoulder with your right hand.
Okay.
Next, with your left hand, touch your right ear. Now, could you point to my left knee?
Okay. There.
Great. Now, could you point to my right elbow?
Μπέρδεψα τις πλευρές την τελευταία φορά.
That's fine. With your right hand, point to my left eye. Now I'm going to show you an action with my hands. I want you to watch me and copy what I do. Watch what I'm doing. Do you see what I'm doing?
Yes, I see.
Good. Now you do it with me. I would like you to keep doing this action at this pace until I tell you to stop.
Yes, like this?
Yes, like that. Keep going at that pace until I say stop. Stop. All right, now we'll do some drawing.
Εντάξει, αλλά πρέπει να την προειδοποιήσω ότι δεν είμαι και τόσο καλλιτέχνης.
Well, let's see about that. I want you to have a good look at this image, this cube. Can you see it?
Θέλει να σχεδιάσω ένα κύβο.
Yes. Please draw the cube as close as possible as you can to this image.
Yeah.
That's great, thank you. For this next question, I want you to imagine you are standing on the side of a busy street. There's no pedestrian crossing and no traffic lights.
Uh-oh.
Tell me what you would do to get across to the other side of the street safely.
Σίδεκα.
Ah, yes, it's a very busy road.
Πώς λες στα εγγλέζικα, κοιτάζω δεξιά και αριστερά για τα αυτοκίνητα πριν διασχίσω το δρόμο.
Yes, that's great. Is there anything else you would do?
Don't walk.
Don't walk?
Yes.
Sorry, what do you mean?
Σου λέω ότι δεν διαβαίνω όταν έχει κίνηση. Πώς το λένε στα εγγλέζικα. Όχι, δεν εννοούσα αυτό. Λέω ότι μπορείς να διαβείς αν δεν υπάρχουν αυτοκίνητα. Πώς το λένε αυτό εγγλέζικα.
Great, thank you. Remember earlier we were going to the shop?
Yes, I do.
Well, we've just arrived at the shop. What were those 4 things we were going to buy?
Tea, oil,
Good. Yes. And there's 2 more things to buy.
Τι ήταν αυτό, μπορείς να το θυμηθείς? Σαπούνι ήταν. Πώς λέμε πάλι το σαπούνι εγγλέζικα?
Yes, there was soap. And the last thing?
Ποιο ήταν το τελευταίο, μπορείς να το θυμηθείς?
That's okay. You've got a bit more time.
I can't remember.
That's okay. We'll move on to the final question then. When they answer this question, you will need to interpret their answers simultaneously. I will time you for 1 minute. During that 1 minute, I'd like you to tell me the names of as many different animals as you can think of. After I say go, I want you to start listing all the animals. Just keep saying them as quickly as you can, and don't worry about me writing them down. Okay? Go.
Dog, cat, bird, άλογο, ποντίκι, ψάρι, καγκαρού, πόσομ.
Excellent. That's 8 animals. That's enough.
Easy.
Now that's the end of the assessment. How do you feel?
I'm good. Πήρα βαθμό Α,
You did very well. Thank you for speaking with us today. Hello, thank you very much for meeting with me today. My name's Dina and I'm a doctor. I'm going to be asking you some questions about your thinking and memory. We also have an interpreter with us. They'll be translating what I say into your language and what you say into English. They will introduce themselves now.
Καλά.
When we're speaking, I'll be asking you the questions and you will be giving me the answers. So talk directly to me as if it's just having a conversation.
Είναι εντάξει.
Do you have any questions about that?
Όχι.
Great. Before we proceed, I'd like you to know that everything is going to be confidential between us.
Τι εννοεί με αυτό?
I just mean that we won't tell anyone else what you say here today or your assessment result.
Δεν ανησυχώ γι' αυτό.
Great. It's just so that you know.
Τι περίεργο πράγμα που είπε.
Now we will start with the questions. Is that okay with you?
Γιατί πρέπει να το κάνω αυτό?
We just want to get a good idea about your memory and your thinking and how you're remembering things and whether you might need some help with that.
Νομίζω είμαι καλά.
Maybe you are, but we'd just like to make sure. Is it okay with you if we proceed with the questions?
Υποθέτω.
We won't be here very long, I promise. Can we start?
Ναι, αν είναι γρήγορο.
Now, I want you to imagine that we're going shopping. Here's a list of what we are going to buy.
Τι στο διάλογο λέει?
I'd like you to pretend that it's you and me and we are going to the shop together. Is that okay?
Αυτό τώρα είναι παιχνίδι.
No, it's not a game, but you do need to pretend. I will tell you a list of things that we need to buy at the shop. We will get to the shop in about 5 minutes' time and I will ask you what's on the list. So you need to remember what's on the list for me.
Τώρα τι χρειάζεται αυτό?
It's to test your memory.
Okay.
Okay, I'll read out the list and you repeat after me. Tea,
Τσάι.
cooking oil,
Μαγειρικό λάδι.
eggs,
Αυγά.
soap.
Σαπούνι.
Great. Could you please repeat the list for me?
Γιατί?
Repeating it will help you remember.
Τσάι, μαγειρικό λάδι, αυγά, σαπούνι.
And can you repeat it for me again?
Τσάι, μαγειρικό λάδι, αυγά, σαπούνι.
And could you repeat it just one last time for me?
Τσάι, μαγειρικό λάδι, αυγά, σαπούνι.
Great, thank you. I'll ask you again what's on the list in a few minutes.
Okay, fine.
Next, I'm going to ask you to show me different parts of your body.
Συγγνώμη, τι είπε?
Oh, you just need to use your finger and point to different parts of the body that I tell you. Do you understand?
Α, εντάξει. Δείξε τα,
Now, can you please point to your right foot? Great. Now show me your left hand. Now, with your right hand, touch your left shoulder.
Τι ήταν αυτό που είπε?
I want you to touch your left shoulder with your right hand.
Αυτό είναι που θέλει να κάνω.
Next, with your left hand, can you touch your right ear? Great. Could you touch your right ear with your left hand? Great. Now could you point to my left knee? Great. Could you please point to my right elbow?
Τι ήταν αυτό? Το μεταφράζει σωστά?
I asked you to please point to my right elbow. Okay, that's great. Now let's move on to the next part of the test. Now, I'm going to show you an action with my hands. I want you to watch me and copy what I do. Watch what I'm doing. Do you see what I'm doing?
Τι κάνει αυτή? Είναι αυτό μέρος της εξετάσεις?
Yes, it's part of the assessment. Can you just do this with me? Copy what I do.
Αυτό είναι πολύ περίεργο.
I would like you to keep doing this action at this pace until I tell you to stop. Stop. All right. Now, we'll do some drawing. I want you to have a good look at this image, this cube. Can you see it?
Yes, I see it.
Please draw the cube as close as possible as you can to this image. That's great, thank you. For this next question, I want you to imagine you're standing on the side of a busy street. There's no pedestrian crossing and no traffic lights. Can you tell me what you would do to get across to the other side of the street safely?
Απλώς διασχίζω το δρόμο.
Remember, there are no traffic lights. Is there anything else you would do to get to the other side of the road safely?
Δεν είμαι... Δεν είμαι σίγουρος. Θα διασχίσω το δρόμο.
Thank you. Now remember earlier we were going to the shop. We were going to the shop and we had a list of things to buy.
Για τι πράγμα μιλάει?
Take your time. Can you remember what we were buying?
Τι θέλει?
Do you remember our shopping list from earlier? The first thing on the list was tea. Do you remember the other things on the list?
Γιατί με ρωτάει τώρα αυτό? Δεν έχω κανένα πρόβλημα.
Take your time. Try to remember our shopping list. What was on it?
Αυτό είναι πολύ δύσκολο. Θέλω να σταματήσω.
That's okay. We can stop this question. Do you want to take a break?
Ένα διάλειμμα θα ήταν πολύ καλό.
We've got one final question now and then we're done.
Okay, fine.
When the client answers this question, you will need to interpret the answers simultaneously. I will time you for 1 minute, and during that 1 minute, I'd like you to tell me the names of as many different animals as you can think of. After I say go, I want you to start naming animals. Just keep saying them as quick as you can, and don't worry about me writing them down.
Είναι εντάξει.
Are you ready?
Ναι.
Okay, go. So tell me the names of as many different animals as you can think of.
Ζώα.
Think of some animals and tell me what they are. Any animals.
Ναι, σωστά. Σκύλος.
Can you think of more? Keep going.
Γάτα.
Just keep saying them.
Γατάκι.
Okay, time's up. Thanks for your answers. That's the end of the testing. How do you feel?
Ευτυχώς. Δεν μου άρεσε καθόλου αυτό.
You got through it and now we're finished. Do you have any questions for me?
Όχι. Δεν θέλω να το ξανακάνω ποτέ. Δόξα τω Θεώ που τελειώσαμε.
Hello, thank you very much for meeting with me today. My name is Dina and I'm a doctor. I'm going to ask you some questions about your thinking and memory. We also have an interpreter with us. They'll be translating what I say into your language and what you say into English. They will introduce themselves now.
Γεια σας. Χάρηκα που σας γνώρισα.
When we're speaking, I'll be asking you the questions and you will be giving me the answers. So talk directly to me as if it's just us having a conversation.
Ναι, εντάξει.
Do you have any questions about that?
Όχι, δεν έχω.
Great. Before we proceed, I'd also like you to know that everything is confidential between us.
Oh.
So we won't tell anyone else what you say here today or your assessment result.
Ναι, σωστά.
Now I'll begin with the questions. Is that okay?
Ναι, εντάξει.
I want you to imagine that we're going shopping. There's a list of things we're going to buy.
Η κόρη μου κάνει τα ψώνια για μένα.
Does she? That's nice of her.
Ναι, είναι. Της αρέσει να πηγαίνει στα calls. Έχει πολύ κόσμο για μένα.
Well, today I want you to imagine that it's you and me going shopping. We're going to Coles together. Can you imagine that?
Ναι, εντάξει.
Great. When we go to the shop, I need you to remember what we're going to buy there. We will get to the shop in about 5 minutes' time, and I will ask you what we have to buy. Okay, I'll read out the list and you repeat after me. Tea,
Τσάι,
cooking oil,
μαγειρικό λάδι,
eggs,
αυγά,
and soap.
σαπούνι.
Great. Could you please repeat the list again?
Δεν είμαι σίγουρος.
Can you tell me what's on the shopping list?
Τσάι,
Yes, great. What else was there?
μαγειρικό λάδι, αυγά, σαπούνι.
We will be buying all these things from the shop and you need to remember them all. Let's say them again to help you remember.
Ναι, εντάξει.
Tea, cooking oil, eggs, and soap.
Τσάι, μαγειρικό λάδι, αυγά, σαπούνι.
Great. Could you repeat that list again?
Τσάι, μαγειρικό λάδι, αυγά, σαπούνι.
Now, could you please repeat what's on the list for me?
Τσάι, μαγειρικό λάδι, αυγά, σαπούνι.
Great. Could you tell me again?
Τσάι, μαγειρικό λάδι, αυγά, σαπούνι.
And repeat it again for me.
Τσάι, μαγειρικό λάδι, αυγά, σαπούνι.
And could you just repeat it one last time for me?
Τσάι, μαγειρικό λάδι, αυγά, σαπούνι.
Thank you. Have you got that now?
Ναι.
Great. Because I'll ask you again what's on the list in a few minutes' time.
Ναι, είναι εντάξει.
Next, I'm going to ask you to show me different parts of the body.
Εντάξει.
Could you point to your right foot? Which is your right foot?
Δεν είμαι σίγουρος.
Can you point to your right foot?
Εννοεί αυτό?
Yes, that's great. Now, can you show me your left hand? Thank you. Now, could you touch your left shoulder with your right hand?
Συγγνώμη, ποια ήταν η ερώτηση?
With your right hand, can you touch your left shoulder?
Δεν είμαι σίγουρος. Τι λέει?
That's okay. We'll do the next thing. With your left hand, can you touch your right ear?
Δεν ξέρω.
That's okay. Now, could you point to my left knee? Okay. Could you please point to my right elbow?
Όχι.
With your right hand, point to my left eye.
Συγγνώμη, το βρίσκω πολύ δύσκολο.
That's okay.
Λυπάμαι πολύ.
You don't need to apologise. Next, I'm going to show you an action with my hands. I want you to watch me and copy what I do. Watch what I'm doing. Can you see what I'm doing?
Τι κάνει αυτή?
Can you do it with me?
Τι σου λέει αυτή?
I would like you to keep copying my action until I tell you to stop.
Δεν καταλαβαίνω τι πρέπει να κάνω.
Can you copy what I'm doing? Just like this.
Δεν ξέρω. Δεν θέλω να το κάνω αυτό.
Just like this. Can you do this?
Όχι, όχι, δεν θέλω.
That's okay. We'll do something else then. Now, we'll do some drawing.
Να ζωγραφίσω. Αυτό ακούγεται εντάξει.
I want you to have a good look at this image, this cube. Can you see it?
Ναι, το βλέπω.
Good. Now please draw this cube as close as possible as you can.
Εντάξει.
That's great, thank you. For this next question, I want you to imagine you are standing on the side of a busy street. There is no pedestrian crossing and no traffic lights. Tell me what you would do to get across to the other side of the street safely.
Θα περάσω στα φανάρια.
What would you do if there were no lights?
Πάντα διαβαίνω το δρόμο στα φανάρια. Υπάρχουν φανάρια στο δρόμο εκεί κοντά στο σπίτι μου και πάντα περνάω εκεί όταν πηγαίνω στο milk bar. Η σύζυγός μου απλώς διαβαίνει από το δρόμο, αλλά νομίζω είναι επικίνδυνο.
What would you do if you needed to cross but there were no lights?
Δεν υπάρχουν φανάρια έξω από το μέρος μας. Η σύζυγός μου οδηγεί το αυτοκίνητο. Δεν οδηγώ. Δεν είναι η ίδια η διάβαση. Ήταν διαφορετική.
Okay, thank you. Now remember earlier we were going to the shop.
Συγγνώμη, τι είπε?
Earlier I told you we'd be going to the shop. Do you remember?
Στο μαγαζί.
Yes, we were going to the shop and now we've just arrived. Do you remember the 4 things we were going to buy?
Δεν ξέρω, η κόρη μου κάνει τα ψώνια.
Remember we were going shopping to Coles? You and me. What were we going to buy?
Δεν ξέρω, η κόρη μου κάνει τα ψώνια από τότε που έπεσα κάτω και...
We were going to buy tea. Do you remember that?
Ναι, ήταν να αγοράσουμε τσάι.
What else were we going to buy? There were 3 other things.
3 άλλα πράγματα. Συγγνώμη.
That's okay. You've got a bit more time. That's okay. We'll move on to the final question. When the client answers this question, you will need to interpret the answers simultaneously. I will time you for 1 minute.
Τι εννοεί αυτή?
I will start a timer for 1 minute. During that 1 minute, I'd like you to tell me the names of as many different animals as you can think of.
Okay.
After I say go, I want you to start saying as many animals as you can think of. Just keep saying them as quickly as you can, and don't worry about me writing them down. Go.
Δεν είμαι σίγουρος τι να κάνω.
Say as many animals as you can. Can you think of any animals?
Σκύλος.
What other animals can you think of? Keep saying them.
Γάτα.
Yes. Any more?
Πουλί. Σκύλος.
That's the end of the testing now. How do you feel?
Νομίζω ότι αισθάνομαι κουρασμένος. Ήταν αρκετά δύσκολο.
You did fine.
Alex.
Yes, the interpreter.
I'm Chris Young. You can call me Chris.
Pleased to meet you.
All right, well, I think they're expecting us.
Before we go in, do you mind if I confirm the purpose of today's appointment?
Absolutely. The client's Mr. Pappas. According to his daughter, he's forgetting things and starting to become confused. So we'll be doing a cognitive assessment using the Rudis tool. Are you familiar with it?
Yes, I know the Rudis. You haven't spoken to him before?
No, only his daughter who lives with him.
Right. When we go in, could you perhaps mention to the daughter that I'll be interpreting for Mr. Pappas, just so that she's aware she won't need to herself?
I've already mentioned that for the Rudis, it's generally best if family members aren't present, so that should be fine.
Good. Thanks. I usually interpret these assessments consecutively, but I may start simultaneous interpreting if that becomes too difficult. Also, before we start, do you mind if I explain my role to Mr. Pappas, including my confidentiality and impartiality?
Absolutely.
Before meeting with the client, the clinician and interpreter should discuss the purpose of the appointment, plus any key information about the client that will help the interpreter perform their role. This includes noting any assessment tools to be used and advising about the client's situation. For example, whether the client has any known cognitive or communication difficulties and any other relevant health and safety concerns. They should discuss if anyone else, such as a family member, needs to be present at the assessment and what their role will be. The briefing should establish the format of the interaction with the client, including the mode of interpretation and the various introductions. If the meeting is at the client's home, the interpreter may inform the clinician of any known relevant cultural customs or etiquette to be observed while visiting a person's home, such as avoiding certain physical contact or removing shoes. If a briefing is not provided, the interpreter should politely request one.
But anyway, see what you think. Oh, Dad, thank you. Have a seat. Here you go.
Lovely, thank you.
Here you go.
Ta.
Great. I'll leave it to it. And if you need anything, I'll just be outside.
Sure, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for letting us come to your house, Mr. Pappas.
Σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ που μας δεχτήκατε στο σπίτι σας σήμερα, κύριε Πάπα.
Παρακαλώ.
You're welcome.
My name is Chris and I'm from the assessment service. I'll be asking you some questions about your memory and your thinking. This is Alex. He's the interpreter and he's here to help with the language difference. He'll introduce himself now.
Γεια σας. Είμαι ο Άλεξ, ο διερμηνέας. Θα μεταφράσω ό,τι η Κρίς, η κλινική ιατρός, μόλις σας είπε, χρησιμοποιώντας ακριβώς τις λέξεις που μόλις χρησιμοποίησε. Λοιπόν, το όνομά μου είναι Κρίς και είμαι από την υπηρεσία αξιολόγησης. Θα σας κάνω μερικές ερωτήσεις για τη μνήμη σας και για τον τρόπο σκέψης σας. Θα μεταφράσω όλα όσα λέει η Κρίς για να τα ακούσετε και όλα όσα λέτε εσείς για να τα ακούσει αυτή. Δεν είμαι ειδικευόμενος στον τομέα υγείας, οπότε δεν μπορώ να δώσω συμβουλή σε θέματα υγείας. Επίσης, δεν θα μοιραστώ με κανέναν τις πληροφορίες που εσείς μας λέτε, γιατί είμαι υποχρεωμένος να το κρατήσω απόρριτο.
Οκ, καταλαβαίνω. Ευχαριστώ.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
So to be clear, when we're speaking, Mr. Pappas, I will be asking you the questions and you will be giving me the answers.
Λοιπόν, για να είμαι σαφής, καθώς θα μιλάμε, κύριε Πάπα, εγώ θα κάνω τις ερωτήσεις και εσείς θα μου δίνετε τις απαντήσεις.
Οκ, εντάξει.
Okay.
Introductions are a valuable opportunity to establish an initial rapport between the client, clinician, and interpreter. The clinician should be the first to speak and should address the client in English. Prior to beginning the assessment, the clinician should introduce themselves before introducing the interpreter. They should then identify their respective roles. It's important that the client knows that the clinician will lead the interaction. After interpreting the clinician's opening introductions, the interpreter should then explain their own role to the client and how they will be interpreting. The interpreter should also ensure the client understands how to use an interpreter.
Mr. Pappas, I want you to imagine that we're going to go shopping to buy some things.
Κύριε Πάπα, θα ήθελα να φανταστείτε ότι πάμε για ψώνια για να αγοράσουμε κάποια πράγματα.
Η κόρη μου κάνει τα ψώνια για μένα.
My daughter does the shopping for me.
That's nice of her. However, I want you to imagine that today It's you and me, and we're going to go to the shop together.
Αυτό είναι καλό εκ μέρους της. Όμως θέλω να φανταστείτε ότι σήμερα είστε εσείς και εγώ και πάμε στα μαγαζιά μαζί.
When we get to the shop, in a few minutes, you'll need to remember the list for me.
Όταν θα πάμε στα μαγαζιά σε λίγα λεπτά, θα χρειαστείτε να θυμάστε τη λίστα για μένα.
Οκ, εντάξει.
Okay.
Good. I'll read the list out and you repeat after me.
Ωραία. Θα σας διαβάσω τη λίστα και εσείς θα την επαναλάβετε.
Tea,
Τσάι.
Τσάι.
Tea.
cooking oil,
Λάδι.
Λάδι.
Cooking oil.
eggs,
Αυγά.
Αυγά.
Eggs.
soap,
Σαπούνι.
Σαπούνι.
Soap.
The interpreter's role in cognitive assessments is to accurately interpret everything that is said by each person. They should provide an exact rendition of what is said and should not repeat or add to any instructions given by the clinician. They should replicate the formality, tone, and meaning of the client's speech. If family are present in the room, the interpreter should accurately interpret everything that the client says to a family member or that a family member says to the client. The interpreter should be alert to any figurative language, sayings, or metaphors, and be accurate when translating their meaning and context. Always support the clinician in ensuring a calm and reassuring environment by replicating the clinician's tone and register.
Τσάι, λάδι, αυγά, σαπούνι.
Tea. Cooking oil. Eggs. Soap.
Good. For this next question, Mr. Pappas, I want you to imagine you're standing on the side of a busy street. There's no pedestrian crossing or traffic lights.
Κύριε Πάπα, θα ήθελα να φανταστείτε ότι στέκεστε στην άκρη ενός δρόμου που έχει κίνηση. Δεν υπάρχουν ούτε γραμμές πεζού, ούτε φανάρια.
Tell me, what will you do to get across to the other side of the street safely?
Πείτε μου, τι θα κάνετε για να περάσετε στην άλλη πλευρά του δρόμου ασφαλείς?
Θα περάσω, πώς τα λένε, ξέρεις, ξέχασα πώς τα λένε, φώτα, τα φανάρια. Θα περάσω από τα φανάρια.
I will cross at the, what do you say, you know, what are they called? At the, I forget, lights. Lights. Yes, I cross at the lights.
Fine. But what if there are no lights?
Ωραία. Αλλά αν δεν υπάρχουν φανάρια?
Δεν υπάρχουν φανάρια. Εγώ πάντα περνώ από τα φανάρια. Τα φανάρια κοντά στο σπίτι μου. Πάντα από εκεί περνάω. Ο γιος μου περνάει από το δρόμο, αλλά είναι επικίνδυνο. Πώς το λες, πρέπει να πηγαίνει αργά,
I cross at the lights. The lights near my house. I always cross there. My son just walks onto the road, but it's dangerous. Danger, you know, should slow.
Ναι, δεν οδηγώ Όχι, δεν οδηγώ. Πώς το λένε, δεν μπορώ να θυμηθώ.
Car. You know, I don't drive. No, I don't drive. It's, what's the word? Car.
Αργά. Πρέπει να πηγαίνουν αργά.
I'm afraid the words are becoming unclear. I think it may have been slow down and go slow, but I'm not certain.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pappas.
Ευχαριστούμε, κύριε Πάπα.
When interpreting, it is important that the clinician understands not just what the client says, but also how they say it. Confusion, forgetfulness, repetition, or signs of emotional distress may indicate cognitive impairment and are important for a clinician to be aware of. An interpreter should try to interpret as much of the client's speech as possible to the clinician, even if it does not make sense. This includes all ums and ahs, hesitations, repetitions, and figures of speech. Also note any mixing of languages and any difficulties in finding words. Interpreters should never clarify with a client what they are trying to say or attempt to alter or correct a client's speech. If the client's speech is too unclear to comprehend, can't be replicated, or the interpreter cannot understand any specific aspect, they should make a note at the time and inform the clinician afterwards.
Mr. Pappas, do you recall that shopping list we discussed when we first started?
Κύριε Πάπα, θυμόσαστε τη λίστα με τα ψώνια που είχαμε συζητήσει όταν πρώτα αρχίσαμε?
Τι λέει αυτή εδώ?
What did she say?
Earlier, I told you to imagine that we were going shopping. Do you remember that?
Προηγουμένως σας είπε να φανταστείτε ότι πηγαίνουμε στα μαγαζιά. Το θυμόσαστε αυτό?
Το μεταφράζεις καλά αυτό? Δεν ξέρω περί τίνος πρόκειται εδώ.
Προηγουμένως σας είπε να φανταστείτε ότι πηγαίνουμε για ψώνια. Το θυμόσαστε? Και ναι, μεταφράζω σωστά. Mr. Pappas asked me, are you translating this correctly? I don't know what this is about. I repeated your question and also confirmed that I am interpreting you correctly.
We imagined that you and I were going shopping together. We made a list. Do you recall?
Είχαμε φανταστεί ότι πηγαίναμε για ψώνια. Είχαμε κάνει μια λίστα. Το θυμόσαστε?
Τι συμβαίνει με αυτήν εδώ? Προσπαθεί να με μπερδέψει. Θέλω να σταματήσω.
What's wrong with her? She's trying to confuse me. Oh, I want to stop.
Έχω μπόλικο φαγητό. Απ' όλα έχω.
I have enough food. I have...
Food. Μ' αρέσει το food, αλλά έχω απ' όλα.
I like food, but I have enough food.
Κοίτα εδώ. Πορτοκάλια, μανταρίνια.
Say lemons, oranges,
Τα πάντα έχω.
I have all of
Όλα έχω
these.
από αυτά.
It's fine, Mr. Pappas. We can stop now.
Εντάξει, κύριε Παπά, μπορούμε να σταματήσουμε τώρα.
Ευχαριστώ. Να σταματήσουμε.
Yes, thank you. Stop. Please stop.
If a client appears distressed or agitated during a cognitive assessment, it might indicate that they are unhappy with the interaction or feel misunderstood or disrespected. Whenever possible, the interpreter should replicate the client's emotional tone and meaning and avoid explaining the client's emotional state to the clinician unless specifically asked to. The interpreter should consider if other issues such as cultural factors or educational levels may explain the client's responses. For example, the client and clinician may have differing cultural expectations as to how guests should talk to a person in their home. Identifying these aspects might help the clinician adjust their approach, avoid any miscommunication, and ensure a calm and reassuring environment for the client.